The following program presents principles designed to promote good health and is not intended to take the place of personalized professional care. The opinions and ideas expressed are those of the speaker. Viewers are encouraged to draw their own conclusions about the information presented.
Welcome to Wonderfully Made. I'm glad you've joined us. I am your host, Claudio Hoppus, a doctoral student at Loma Linda University in the Preventive Care Program. Today we have a wonderful subject that may sound a little stressing, but it is stress that we're going to be talking about. Joining me is Dr. Dos Santos from Loma Linda University. He is a professor in the Preventive Care Program, and I'm glad you've joined us. I'm sure your knowledge and stress and what you teach and what you've dealt with in different clinics will be very helpful to us.
Well, thank you for having me here. And this topic is very interesting. And in the beginning, we ourselves got a little stressed out. But I believe at the end of the presentation, we will be very relaxed. And that's what we are trying to do. Most of people have stress. And we are going to try to figure out what to do to cope with it.
That's good, because stress is just all around us. I don't think anybody is immune to it. It's something we experience from day to day. And I'm sure many of you watching can relate to stress in different levels and for different situations. And we want to make sure we understand it better and learn more about it today. In fact, stress is a component of, has been known to bring ulcers and hypertension and migraines and multiple of other symptoms and diseases. Is that true? I mean, that's part of being stressful, some of the side effects.
Yes, when you are under stress, when a person is under stress, what happens is that some hormones are being released in circulation. One of the hormones is adrenaline. And adrenaline has the potential or has the function to increase blood pressure, to increase blood sugar and lipids in the circulation. To prepare a person is a reaction to prepare a person to fight or to run or to climb something or to run away.
So it is something that God has built into us to deal with certain situations. You hear the drastic stories of somebody being caught under the car or similar situations where somebody that doesn't have the strength finds supernatural strength to lift, and it's usually adrenaline or similar brain chemistry that's flowing and helping the body cope with that stress. So it is a God-built component in there.
Yes, it is.
And it all stems from the brain and coming in. Now, what are some of the other components? Is stress something that's real or perceived, or is there a combination of both? How would you define stress?
Well, stress is a reaction to some aggression. This aggression can be brought to us, or we can create that type of aggression. But normally, stress starts with something that happened to a person. And I have a graphic of a snake here, just to show the person. When you see that snake for the first time, you get all the reactions that a person has under stress that are normal. So you get scared and you are ready to run, you are ready to get strength to kill the snake and to do whatever. This is a normal reaction.
Right.
Acute, short. The problem is when you have a rattlesnake around you 24 hours per day. 7 days per week. 30 days per month. And
all the time.
And then this reaction becomes a disease. So you have your levels of adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones, high all the time. Then you will have problem with the disease.
That's correct. I was thinking when you said about the snake, to you or me, maybe that would be something very stressful because we're not used to seeing them every day. But to us, one of my friends that's doing research on rattlesnakes, he actually has to go hunt them and he deals with them from day to day. For his stress level, it's very low when he sees a rattlesnake. He knows how to deal with it. He knows how to determine which kind it is. So stress is something in our mind that's perceived and how much control we have over it. So a lot of people, the same stress for you may not be the same stress for me, or the same stress that you may be having may not be the one I have, and the one I have may not be the same one you have. But so it's something that we perceive in different ways.
Yeah, the perception is very important, and how the person sees the situation. So if you see the situation as something that will hurt you, then you start having the effects of the hormones on that. If the situation is not hurtful, so what is stress for you might not be for me. And I have another picture there that tells a Bible story about Balaam. And he was a prophet that we know the story since we were kids. And then Balaam was riding this donkey, and the donkey was pressing his legs to the wall there, and then he was spanking the donkey several times. And then all of a sudden he figured out that the donkey was not going ahead because there was an angel ready to kill Balaam.
Right.
So then it looks like his eyes were open, and then and he could see the big picture. And that's the word that we use in stress. You have to try to see the big picture. Find meaning for the situation and try to understand why the situation is hurting you, or why people is aggressive towards you.
So understanding is part of the issue and how to deal with it, or understanding when to stop it too. Speaking of donkeys, I was reminded of zebras, and zebras don't get ulcers. And I guess it was a veterinary or somebody that studies zebras that noticed, this is interesting, we never did a biopsy or studied a zebra that had ulcers. And so they did more research on it, and they noticed that zebras, like most other animals, cows or most other ones, when most of the day they're spending eating and grazing on grass, and they're not stressed. They're happy zebras or happy cows. But that doesn't mean they always live that way. When there's a lion or a predator or something comes to them, they get stressed, and the brain chemistry flows in, and they start running and escaping that danger. So they need the stress to survive. But they don't live under that thought of, oh, there's that lion or that predator all the time. Yeah, that's how we oftentimes live, under constant stress. So what are some of the consequences of living under constant stress? What may happen to the mind or the body?
Yes, I believe on another way, all the diseases can be consequences or can be cause of stress. So when you have a disease that affects you, you develop stress, a reaction of that disease. When you have stress because of something else, then this will increase the risk of that disease. And as you mentioned in the beginning, those diseases can be reaction or an overreaction of the immune system. So allergies, even asthma or arthritis are related somehow to this overreaction of the immune system. And then there is the suppression of the immune system because of one hormone called cortisol. Then you have a higher risk of infections when you are under chronic, constant stress in your life.
And that's what we're trying to avoid, that constant chronic levels. Some practical ways now we may want to talk about. Well, you may be viewing and saying, I know exactly what you're talking about. I live under that constant stress. I'm always thinking of the what if, and the what if might happen or not happen. And what can I do? What are some of the practical things that we can incorporate in our lives? How do we deal with stress?
Well, I think the first point is to assess what kind of stress you have or how stress is affecting you. So you should check if the stress is from work, is from friends, is from your family, internal stress, or if the stress is caused by your behavior, or if the stress is caused by the environment. So a good stress assessment is fundamental, the first step.
Perhaps we could just grab a piece of paper and write down, I have this stress, why? And start listing things that stress it. Or ask somebody to interview you. Why are you stressed? And then that would help you figure out what's going on.
Yeah, the first question we ask is that, do you have time to do all the things that you want to do in your life? And then we have a clear first question, and then we go over and see what else is the things that are competing with
for that time,
yeah,
that special time. And then once we make the list and we find out, okay, these are my causes, where do we follow with that?
Well, we have the second and the third point. The second is try to neutralize the stressors. And the third would be how to deal with the consequences when you cannot neutralize the stressors. Stressors are those things that cause us or hurt us or create the situation, the reaction. Okay. So all the things that happen should be the stressors. So how can we modify them, manipulate them? And so some of them you can, some of them you cannot. Like if you are, if your problem is with time, so we ask the person to fill up a sheet with all the activities that the person does, and then we can somehow identify gaps of time that he's losing or lack of other activities that he should do on that, and then organize his life on that.
Make a schedule, in other words.
Exactly.
See, well, this is taking too long, or I could use some more time here, or this one activity really stresses me out. Maybe I can add some more time before or during and take some out of there. So organizing life is one way to deal with the consequences, or what's causing it.
Yeah, we are talking about the stressors first still. Okay. And then there are other things, improve communication. Sometimes we have a problem in work because we don't say the right word, or we say the wrong word, and we don't listen to people, or we mind read, and before you say something, I know you are against me. And then this creates a big stress in the work side.
Right.
So we should work on that. We're still working in the stressors.
Okay.
Another one is priorities. Check what is your main priority in life. I have asking in stress seminars, mostly I got 3 answers when I say, put the 3 main priorities or the main priorities. And then this goes around God, family, and work. And they go around these.
Okay.
And
so
then
you're saying list whatever is number 1, number 2, number 3 of your priorities.
Yeah.
And then focus all your daily schedule, your activities according to those priorities.
Yeah. I remember one person put home as the main priority. Then I started exploring with him, and I figured out that he didn't spend any time with his family. I say, what's going on here? You put home and you don't have time for home. Well, but I have to work to make a lot of money to provide for my family. I say, well, I think we have to think about that better, because it's not, if you are absent, you cannot help your home or your family as much if you are present there and try to raise your kids and try to raise your family in a good environment.
Right.
So you cannot be outside and thinking that you are putting that as a priority. And so we try to change, the way to prioritize things in life.
It almost sounds like this might take so much time that even would be stressful to try to organize. But it would be a good investment, because taking some time and organizing what are my priorities, what's causing me stress, where is it coming from, and try to build a strategic plan would have long-term beneficial effects. But you still had one more
Yeah,
topic.
the second, the third level, we did assessment, we checked the stressors, now we will deal with the consequence. And when I'm talking about consequence, is when a person is working, like you have a boss that you don't appreciate much, but you cannot change. You need to keep your job, and you have to maintain your income, but you still have the situation. The boss does not like you, or you don't like the boss. What can you do? So we advise that a person in that situation develops activities that will counteract the stress, that we call parasympathetic activities.
Parasympathetic.
Yes.
Okay. Please break that down or explain it a little bit
Well,
better.
when you are under stress, you stimulate, you put to work the sympathetic system that has adrenaline, cortisol, noradrenaline, epinephrine, some hormones that will create all of these reaction in your body. Yeah.
Yes.
So the parasympathetic mostly has one substance called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is the substance that will counteract these hormones and will bring down the blood pressure, bring down the heart rate, bring down the blood sugar. So this is what I mean. We have to accelerate or activate the parasympathetic system.
To bring that homeostasis or that normality back. Yes.
What are the things that activate this system? The parasympathetic system is the one that happens when you go to a concert and you are classical music concert, and in 2 minutes you are sleepy. So why is that? Is because the sympathetic system is activated and then brings everything down and relaxes you. So we have to find those activities that really produce relaxation.
And it may not always be classical music that is what's bringing the relaxation to you. Maybe it's doing artwork or going to the beach and just sitting and listening to the waves and the birds, being out in nature. All these things can really help bring the sympathetic into activating and bringing everything back to normal.
Perfect. That's what we... And then massage, jacuzzi, reading a good book that is relaxing. All those activities are important for those that have stress. Music is one of the best. I mean, listen to music or how about learning a musical instrument? Something that you have the opportunity to relax. And that's the point. We can do some techniques for that to bring relaxation. So we can do deep breathing. So we breathe in and count until 5. Then we breathe out and count until 5. We can do the muscle relaxation, like you contract your arms and count until 5, then you relax your arms. You can do with other muscles in the system, in the body. Right. The same thing, contract for 5 seconds, relax for 5 seconds. And you can do in your face. You contract your face and make a big face, 5 seconds, then relax. And then you do that over and over until you choose the relaxed stage.
So you're training the mind.
You train the mind to be relaxed.
Relax the muscles and the chemicals that we don't see but are very present and active in the mind. And that affects the rest of the body. So those are some practical exercises. Now, it's always different for different people, so we have to always say, well, this may not work for, maybe the music may be a stressor for somebody. So pick the uplifting music or the soft music that makes you relax a little bit. Maybe for some people it's working on their car, mechanics, and that relaxes them. And so it's really maybe making a list so you know, okay, when I'm stressed I need to do some more of these activities.
Yeah, or you can choose to do an exercise activity that provides this relaxation. And then something that you have fun. And then you will have both effect of the physical activity and fun. They create something that is called ecotherapy or ecotherapy. It means that you go to nature and then you go to nature just to walk in nature. And then they measure the effects of this in your stress level and to control disease. They promote this as a parasympathetic activity, walking in a trail in the woods, as very beneficial for your health.
That's excellent. Now I'm probably thinking somebody watching saying, well, I have no time at all for any time for myself or to relax or to think of what I can do. So I think a thing we need to do is train our mind to be in that state. And for me personally, and I think for many other people and for yourself, is finding a little bit more trust in God. Finding Bible verses that bring that relaxation. I like the verse where Jesus tells us not to worry about tomorrow, that tomorrow will worry for itself. And a lot of times we worry so much about the future when the present has enough to worry about and to take care of. And I like Jesus' counsel of just focus on what you can do now, what needs to be done now, and let me take care of the future.
Yeah, in fact, people are afraid of the future and they are anxious. They have anxiety about the future. And at the same time, they are depressed about the past. I mean, what happened in the past, they are all, well, what happened? Why did it happen to me? And then what we have is today.
Right.
This is our obligation. And this is what is reserved for us, the daily activities, the day things that we have to change or go through. It's 24 hours or 12 hours, whatever.
Right. And what a beautiful promise that we have from God, that He forgives all our sins, and we don't have to revisit them. Once they're forgiven, they're done with, and we can worry about today. And to know that we don't have to, we just have today guaranteed. We can't change the past. Let's, if we have something bothering us, let God take care of that. We have the present and move forward from there. Another one of my favorite books is Philippians, and Philippians 4:13, where I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And to know that I'm not by myself, because that stresses a lot of people out. To know that I need to do this, I need to do that, and the I becomes so big and God becomes smaller and smaller. And to realize that God is our main help, and He shows us where we can get more help also from maybe friends or relatives, and maybe delegating some things.
Yeah, on this way, we can say that we can use these things as meditation. There are several types of meditation nowadays. One type in particular, they ask you to go to a level that you don't think anything, then to reach the nothingness. I don't buy much that. It's much better when you meditate with the mind focusing that you are asking the supernatural, the higher power or whatever you call God, that will take care of your life. And then you relax because you are put in His hands. So it's a meditation with a very powerful process of thinking.
Right. Well, if we read the Bible and know that God is our creator, that He is the creator of all things, that He is all-powerful, then that helps us realize, well, if God has all the power, then I can trust Him and I can learn to walk in His ways and to be taken care of by Him. Do you have any other Bible verses that you would like to share?
Yeah, I have another one that is in Philippians also, that talks about when you have, let's see if I have here, when you have, Philippians, what's the number here? 4:6-7. Don't be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So, again, we go to the meditation with a principle. If you have anything that is troubling you, you are anxious, you take that to the Lord. He might not answer the thing that you have that is causing the anxiety as you want Him to answer, but He will give you the peace, and that's what we need. So, well, if I have to accept something, give me the peace to accept. And there is even the serenity prayer that we pray to the Lord to accept the things that we cannot change. This is a very powerful thing for stress. Accept the things that we cannot change.
And to realize that we can't do anything about it, but God can.
Exactly. Yeah.
That same verse, Philippians 4, 6, and 7 is one of my favorites also. As I said, Philippians, it's a very good book. And I like the part where it says, and be thankful for all things. And I've tried that personally in my life. A lot of times we look at the negative side of things. And if we learn to thank God, even say, Lord, I don't understand this, but I thank you that I have the opportunity to be living today, and that you have a plan, and that you have the power. And to start thanking Him that the stress that I start perceiving becomes less and less. And I just, want everybody to enjoy the blessings that God has for us, because we know we live in a sinful world. There's plenty of negative things, and there's too much to do all the time. But to realize that we are limited. God is the only one who's unlimited. He has all the power and all the strength. And to really put ourselves in His hands, and to realize that we could learn some things from the animals too, from the zebras and the cows, which they learn to, when things that can't change, they don't worry about, And we've been given the capability to think and to reason and to know that we can learn a little bit from this.
That's why if you put this in the context of stress and spirituality, you can say that stress is when the enemy put things in your life to detour you from God. So if you use this mechanism, the solution is to go back to the Lord. And I like the verse in Matthew, in John 16:33, that they say, I have told you these things so that in me you have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but I overcame the world. I put here, in the world you will have stress, not trouble, stress. Mm-hmm. He was preparing us for that. In the world you will have stress, but take heart, trust in me. I have overcame the world. So that's the point. We have to remember the three priorities. We have to go back to the main priority that I would say is God. People say, well, but I have to work and I have to take care of my family. Once you put God first, the other two will come along. The other two will be a part of that because God will guide you to take care of your job and to take care of your family.
Exactly. And I think that's where our topic for today, stress, centers on God. Because even Jesus said, you will have trouble, like you told us and told our listeners. But to expect the troubles, to know that they will be there as long as we live. It's like learning how to drive and knowing that you have a brake pedal. If something crosses the road, that you can slow down and learn to use that sometimes. To slow down, go around the troubles or go around our issues that are dealing with us. And always with God's guidance, always with God's help. And that will help us through these hard times.
Another thing is that what happened to Balaam is that he didn't see the big picture. With God, he will make you able to see a little more what is happening around. So for many situations that you are in, being with the Lord will open your eyes to see what is going on around.
Exactly. Stress will be around us. We need to look around, see the big picture, and learn not to live with stress constantly in our lives. Dr. Dos Santos, I thank you for all the good help you've given us to learn and to cope with stress. Your knowledge and your presence has been very helpful. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. I feel relaxed now. Thank you. Thank you.
That's good. And we just want to thank you for watching, for making Wonderfully Made something you enjoy watching and learn. And we hope that we have been able to provide helpful tips that you may be able to take from today on and apply them to your life to know that God is in control, that God is there to help, that God is there to provide a plan and a way, and that He's already in the future, that He knows all things, and He has the power and the strength to help us through all things. Thank you very much for watching Wonderfully Made.